part 47 of Don't Say Schwarzenegger. For this part, I'm going to be covering the fourth parole violation of one or more of the defendants that the court system completely ignored, or gave a lenient sentence when the other ones were reported, but this one has video evidence, so let's talk about it. So real quickly, I'm just going to recap the 3 previous probation violations which we caught while all the defendants were convicted of, GBI felonies. And so they were on strict probation rules that, well, they were supposed to be on strict probation rules that the normal person would be on. For example, we wouldn't even need like a BIC, like alcohol test, whatever you call it, done on them to have a probation violation and an immediate automatic 7-year prison sentence. All you need, and this is according to the DA and the law books and everything, all you need is a photo of them holding a glass of wine or standing in a bar, and that's enough to throw them in prison. That's not what happened, obviously. So real quick, let's recap. So the first probation violation was within like a couple of months or something after they started doing their weekends at the private private jail. And all the defendants in the criminal case showed up and were caught intoxicated on felony probation, intoxicated at jail. And then the police said that one of them, or a few of them, were trying to actually fight the security or officers, whatever you call it, that run it. So the Driz twins were kicked out of the jail, but Shawn Driz was allowed to finish his 45 days or whatever it was on his own time or whatever. So that was the first one. No prison sentence or anything. Sorry, I just worked out this morning for the first time in 100 years and I keep seeing hairs pop out. Anyways, so Shawn Driz was allowed to just finish, like nothing happened. And they even took a blood alcohol test and they all had alcohol in their systems, like literally caught red-handed, nothing happened. That one I covered in part 14 if you feel like going back or you're new here. The second probation violation was when the surprise probation search happened at all 3 Driz's home in Beverly Hills. And they found a stolen loaded chambered pew-pew. They found the illegal white powder, snow. And they also found a duffel bag, a huge duffel bag filled with green plants, which was illegal for them to have. Caught red-handed, 6 Beverly Hills Police Department officers attest to it. And the judge said, Catherine Mader said, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Let it slide. And that was covered in parts 15 through 23, if you want to look. The third probation violation, which I covered in part 22, was when Shawn Driz spoke to us at one of the secret hearings at the airport court where he had Blair Burke, Harvey Weinstein's attorney, accompanying him. And he walked out in front of her, and all of these people are friends, me and my brother. And as he walked by, he laughed at my brother and I, and he said, have a nice day. And we told the DA, and the DA told the judge to, hey, that's not allowed to happen. They have restraining orders. He literally violated parole again. Nothing happened. The judge just said, hey, don't do that, bad. So that was that. Now let's get to the fourth probation violation. So a little reminder that me and the other plaintiffs, we were forced to undergo not 1, but 2 depositions each and 2 psychiatric evaluations each. Those are full 8-hour days. Sometimes they extend into multiple days each. And the defendants only had to do 1 deposition each. And the reason this is because the Drizzes forced us all to be deposed and forced us all to have the psychiatric evals. And then once the statute of limitations ran out to convict William Jolson of a crime, like criminally, then he was allowed to be brought into the defense. And so he said, okay, well now I want to make the plaintiffs do this all over again. The victims, forcing us to redo everything again, and legally that was allowed, and it was horrific. It was really awful. There's other details I feel like I could go into about how the games that he and his defense team played, because it's all meant to tire us out, make us run out of money, to frazzle us, to upset us, and it works. It works. It's a disgusting defense to go to, but it worked, and he pulled that card. So let's talk about really quickly the psychiatric evaluation. So what it is you sit down with a doctor who they try to say, oh, it's not the defense doesn't pick the doctor you have to answer these questions to in a private room. It's somebody just, they're not biased or whatever. Like, it's not their pick. Here's the thing. The doctor they chose to force us to do this psychiatric evaluation was a man named Dr. Reading. So this is Dr. Anthony E. reading. Again, supposedly an unbiased, like doctor right down the middle. It's not like the defense picks him. But here's the thing. When I had to do my eval with him, 8 hours, and you have to answer questions for the defense, remember. You have to answer the victims in a violent crime. I had to answer questions like, where do you live? What do you drive? What's your schedule like during the day? What types of things make you feel safe? What types of things make you feel unsafe? Can you imagine answering questions like this and then handing it to the defense? And can you imagine too that within weeks of my 8-hour evaluation with this man, that suddenly all of the things that I said make me feel safe started being broken down and taken away one by one, and I can get into detail in probably the next part about that. It was horrifying. Also, one of the questions I had to answer was, and I quote, "Are demons trying to read your thoughts?" No. Okay, so parole violation number 4 by Shawn Driz. And by the way, every single parole violation that I've mentioned since the day they were convicted, he's been involved in every single one. How much prison time did he get for each one with evidence? 0. I wonder why. So here's the 4th one. So when they're convicted of GBI felonies, an extremely violent crime, great bodily injury is what that means, there's automatic restraining orders that go into effect for years. Probation, the whole thing. What that means is none of the defendants can talk to us, contact us. That means speak to in the hallway, text, DM, like our social media pictures. They can't have other people reach out to us through them. So that's what that means. Let me see. Oh, okay. So during one of the depositions that I was forced to go under, Shawn Driz, by the way, none of the defendants ever showed up for depositions. It's just like us and a slew of attorneys at the table, and your video recorded, there's a stenographer, and that's how it happens. So I'm gonna show you the video in a second, like a quick clip of him violating his probation. And I was sitting there, it was at the tail end, like hours and hours and hours, tail end of the deposition. I'm just like, my eyes are puffy. I'm wiping the tears away that I had just sobbed previously. And the whole time while I'm doing this, Shawn and his attorney, Maria Hall, who works with Robert Shapiro, they're sitting across the table and he's just staring me down for the entire thing. And at the very end, all the questions end. Everyone legally is not allowed to ask me any more questions because the deposition ends. I'm taking my microphone off, getting ready to go. And Shawn goes, like, he asks if he can ask me a question, and they're like, no, you can't. So he just tramples over that. And he says, "I just want to know if you're in fear of me, plain and simple." After this happened, this is now the 2nd time he has spoken to me and just trampled over the restraining order with nobody doing anything. Like, my safety is just, it's not a matter. My worth and value as a human being is just, it's being stomped into my skull again that their rights trump mine. I'm not a human being. And that's all I could think of at this time. And when the camera went off, I went into the hallway and I just started speed walking down the hallway, and I kind of remember some of it. I just collapsed to the ground, hyperventilated, and I was like on the ground sobbing and trying to breathe, and it was awful. So here's the video of Shawn Driz violating his probation once again on camera, and it's in the transcript.
I don't have any further questions.
All right. So do you want to put the stipulation on the
That's my
record?
attorney talking.
So here's the deal. Everyone else has had the opportunity to depose on the screen. The only person who hadn't had the opportunity was Mr. Jolson, because he was not in the case for his last
Correct. I just have one question to clarify one thing. I understand. I don't want to answer it if it's not. I just want to know if you're in fear of me. Plain and simple.
So there you see it. There's Shawn Driz on camera. That's his voice. In the transcript, it says, "Present, Shawn Driz and his attorney, Maria Hall." His words that I said to you and you just heard were also written in the transcript. At the civil trial, which I'll cover soon, very soon, Shawn said, literally times, denied ever even being there. Like, said I made the whole thing up that he said that to me. It was so embarrassing, like secondhand embarrassment. So yeah, we are getting to, I think we're getting to the last 12, 15 parts of my series, and I'm going to try to knock them out because it's more recent for me, so I feel like it's going to be easier for me to just get it out. Thank you guys so much for being patient, and I will see you soon.